This is the last film in which Polish General Władysław Sikorsky is seen alive. Here he inspects his soldiers just hours before his death on July 4th, 1943. Later that evening, a 4-engine B-24 Liberator aircraft was sitting on the runway of the British Royal Air Force Base in Gibraltar. The all-metal fuselage high-lift airplane was designed primarily as a long-range bomber, but that night it would carry far more valuable cargo. General Sikorsky is Prime Minister of the Polish government in exile and Commander-in-Chief of all Polish soldiers who escaped the Nazis. The previous day, following an inspection of Polish troops in Egypt, Sikorsky had flown to Gibraltar en route to London. He was accompanied by 4 fellow Poles, his daughter Zofia, and Victor Cazalet, a British liaison officer. At the last moment, they were joined by 3 extra passengers, including 2 civilians, a Mr. Locke and a Mr. Pinder, both reputed to be spies. At exactly 11:10 p.m., the Czech pilot of Liberator AL-523 takes off. The runway is notoriously short. The plane reaches a height of 150 feet at a speed of 165 miles per hour. Then, disaster strikes. Minutes after takeoff, the aircraft plunges nose first into the sea. None of the passengers are found alive. General Sikorsky is killed, and the Polish people are deprived of their greatest wartime leader. Who is to blame? And is it really an accident? Or are the rumors of the time accurate? Was Sikorsky becoming an awkward ally, testing the patience of Winston Churchill? Did the British want him out of the picture? And what about Stalin, his arch-enemy? Could the Russians have killed him? Almost 60 years later, the Polish people still want an answer. Was Sikorsky's plane sabotaged? Who wanted the famous Polish general dead, and why? What is the true story of the mysterious death of General Sikorsky? Władysław Sikorsky was born in Galicia, in southeastern Poland in 1881. At the time, Poland was part of the Austro-Hungarian Empire. For centuries, Polish territory had been shifting between the empires of Germany, Russia, and Austro-Hungary. During World War I, Sikorsky serves as a senior officer in the Austro-Hungarian army. Yet within its ranks, he tries to establish an independent Polish cavalry. For the Polish, their dashing cavalry regiments are a vital part of their national identity. On the Eastern Front, Sikorsky learns firsthand the Germanic method of waging war. In 1919, at the Versailles Peace Conference, Poland is recognized as an independent nation with specific boundaries. But the Treaty of Versailles creates a time bomb. East Prussia remains part of Germany, but is completely isolated because it is surrounded by Polish territory. Just a year later, Poland engages in a bitter battle for its very survival against the new Soviet Union. The Poles defeat the Bolshevik regime, which only fuels the growing hatred between the two nations. Throughout the 1920s, Sikorsky serves as defense minister and even briefly becomes Prime Minister of Poland. In the 1930s, he continues his career as a general, spending significant periods of time in France, studying Western tactics and technology. The experience will prove invaluable in a few short years. As Sikorsky adds to his personal military experience, the German Reich also expands, absorbing Austria and the German-speaking areas of Czechoslovakia. East Prussia's isolation becomes the perfect excuse for Hitler to turn on Poland. In the 1930s, the Polish army is equipped with some modern weapons, but much of its cavalry still used horses, not tanks. It could hardly compete with a military superpower like the Third Reich. On September 1st, 1939, Hitler's troops invade Poland. It is the beginning of World War II. Motorized columns spearhead the German assault and easily pierce the Polish front line. Poland had previously signed an alliance with Britain and France, assuring it of military assistance if Germany invaded. But although they declare war on Germany, both Britain and France are too busy mobilizing their own armies to give immediate help to the Poles. Polish resistance is fierce, but the German blitzkrieg rips through the country. The Luftwaffe dropped bombs deep behind Polish lines, hammering both civilians and soldiers. The Polish cavalry is helpless against the powerful German panzers. Their lancers are cut down by machine guns. In just over 2 weeks, Warsaw, the capital of Poland, is surrounded and bombarded. For 10 days, the Poles staunchly hold out, but with water and food running low, they are forced to surrender. The German juggernaut sweeps into western Poland. Polish symbols and signs are torn down. It is the beginning of 6 years of hell for the Polish people. The Nazis institute a cruel regime of oppression and genocide, crushing all Polish aspirations for freedom. The Soviet Union also takes advantage of Poland's weakness. Soviet troops invade from the east and meet with little organized resistance. They rapidly advance to a predetermined demarcation line with the Germans. Poland is split in half. The boundary between Nazi Germany and the Soviet Union is an uneasy one, but it gives both dictators time to regroup and prepare for further aggression. Almost 1 million Polish soldiers are taken prisoner by the Germans and Russians. The Polish government and military high command withdraw to Romania, but under pressure from the Germans, they are arrested and interned. Polish hopes shift to Paris, where General Sikorsky is based. With French support, the Polish government in exile nominates him their prime minister and commander of Polish forces. With General Sikorsky providing a rallying point, many Polish soldiers flee to the west by escaping through Romania and Hungary. Some 84,000 Polish soldiers arrive in France. The Poles are then equipped with French arms. Under Sikorsky's leadership, they become a formidable force. The general's plan of attack focuses on 2 fronts. Polish pilots continue to fly from French bases, taking on the Luftwaffe. Sikorsky personally mobilizes his men on the European battlefield. In May 1940, Hitler turns his attention to the west. His Panzer divisions sweep into the Netherlands and Belgium. Allied forces advance into Belgium to meet them, but are surprised when the main German armored thrust rips through the supposedly impassable hills of the Ardennes. The Allied armies fall back in confusion. Within 10 days, Hitler's panzers reach the English Channel, effectively cutting off the northern French and British units. Among the Allied forces, 3 Polish units fighting in France are caught in this pincer. The Polish 10th Armored Cavalry Brigade fights fiercely in Champagne before being cut off and surrounded. Its men are finally ordered to disperse and make their way to Britain. The 1st Grenadier Division fights alongside the French at the Maginot Line. They reluctantly withdraw. But after being cut off by German advances, they are told to escape as best they can. The Polish 2nd Infantry Division fights in Alsace. Unable to escape westward, the men decide to withdraw into neutral Switzerland. There, the Nazis confiscate their weapons. The entire division is then imprisoned for the rest of the war. It is a dismal end to their participation. Just over a quarter of the Polish soldiers in France managed to escape the attack, and some 24,000 troops sail for Britain. From there, the soldiers regroup and move their base to Scotland. General Sikorsky flies to Britain on June 18th to set up the Free Polish government in London. The future of his entire nation now rests in his hands. But the Poles in Britain are faced with a new challenge. Germany wants to break the British Air Force and invade England. Polish pilots join the ranks of the Royal Air Force. During the summer of 1940, they fight a bitter battle for survival in the skies over Britain. Once more, Sikorsky and his Polish forces find themselves playing a crucial role in a key battle of the war. By September 1940, the Battle of Britain has ended. German air power is defeated, and Polish pilots have played a vital role in supporting Britain's struggle to survive. For the first time in years, free Polish troops, led by General Sikorsky, begin to hope for a better future. Germany's Operation Barbarossa is unleashed in the summer of 1941. Hitler invades Russia, and Stalin is forced to go to war with Germany. But German blitzkrieg tactics overwhelm Soviet resistance. Some 3 million soldiers of the Red Army are captured. It appears that the Third Reich will easily add Russia to its list of conquests. For the Poles, it is a shocking turn of events. The catastrophe makes Stalin an integral part of the Allied coalition. But hatred between the Russians and the Poles creates an uneasy relationship. Immediately, Sikorsky seeks the release of 114,000 Polish soldiers taken prisoner by the Russians in 1939. He asks Stalin